And we're back. Good to see you all again. I know it's been a little bit since we last talked about disorganized attachment style, but we're ready to bang it out. I'm feeling refreshed. I ended up taking a drink, went to it's like a yoga studio and a juicing station. So I thought I would get a drink there. Well, that drink turns out that it had caffeine in it. So you all are about to experience the wonderful, amazing capacity that I have when I have caffeine. Because I've cut myself off sugar and caffeine, it's going to be very high energy today, so I'm going to need you to stick with me. So let's get right into it. Number one, for this attachment style, if I am looking to heal these wounds, right? Remember that this attachment style has to deal with being abandoned, fear of love, fear of intimacy, and when they do have that intimacy, it's not available, right? And by that, I mean somebody shows their love to you and now you're repelled. You know, it's kind of like bug spray. You're trying to keep the bugs off. The thing about this attachment style, the disorganized attachment style, is that we're dealing with the dismissive avoidant and the anxious attached style. So again, this means that if I want love and I get that love, I'm repelled by it. But at the same time, in the wee hours of nighttime, I sit alone crying in my bed until 3 a.m. about how nobody will love me and how I don't have a romantic relationship. Yeah, that's intense. It's very intense. So what can I do to remedy this situation? Well, it's not going to be fixed overnight. Number one is finding a partner that has a secure attachment style. Now, again, this is what I would recommend after you've done the work. I would not want you bringing your emotional baggage into other relationships, let alone being married to somebody and bringing your baggage into it without dealing with your inner wounds, and we do that inner healing. But if you find somebody with a secure attachment style, a secure attachment partner, they're going to communicate with you, they're going to love you where you are at, and they're going to be there for you. So what we're trying to solve here is that consistency. If I want to uproot the fact that I had inconsistencies as a child with my parents or caregivers, whatever you decide, it's important that we find a partner that fits those standards. So they provide us this sense of stability in how they react to us, what they do, how they allow us to say what we think. So this is a giant friggin' PSA to all of you out there. Do not date emotionally unavailable people to serve your confirmation bias that the world is indeed not safe for you to explore. The world isn't safe because of the people that you choose to surround yourselves with and end up in physical relationships with. Yes, I did say it. I'm sorry that one hurt, but God, it is the truth of the matter. Number two, rather than focusing on the past experiences that you have had, let's try to cultivate a personal narrative on what had happened when we were a child. In the same process, we're going to shift our mindset to one of a positive landscape. So for example, when I was younger, I had a biological mother who dealt with panic attacks, and when I needed soothing as a child, right, because our parents are supposed to soothe us, I didn't get that. I had to learn to grow up at the age of 7, 8, so on and so forth, taking care of my biological mother who would have anxiety attacks that she'd have to pull over the road for. She'd have panic attacks where she'd tell me to call 911, didn't know what was going on. My dad was out working, so he wasn't home. And I think that definitely has played a factor into how I handle friendships and relationships and how I see things. And so what I need you to realize is, rather instead of, oh, it's such a negative experience, I can't do it again, it's overwhelming, you have the capacity to realize that they did not have that ability. They did not have the physical and mental ability to soothe you when you needed it, right? In the manner that you should have had, and you need to release all those expectations that you had of those caregivers, your parents, family, friends, co-workers. I don't care, your neighbor Joe. And so once we release those expectations of others, we heal through our hurts. We're not waiting in the past of despair and, oh, woe is me, I cannot. No more of that. A lot of you are grown men watching this. I'm going to need you to pull up some cojones and start taking care of the baggage rather than bringing it into other relationships and choosing to be a little boy. What this also means is that when a situation arises that reminds us of a past event, we need to allow that certain emotion to surface. Now, I am a big advocate for the Greek thought of Stoicism. And I've talked about this before, but there was a certain philosopher, and I'm not remembering who it is offhand, but he said that we needed to feel those emotions because it's important as humans for us to feel those emotions. Physically, emotionally. Yeah, they're there. I'm not going to deny that they're not there. But when we feel those, we feel every aspect of it, the pain, the hurt, the bitterness, whatever you need to do to get over it, and then you release it. It's like the waves and the tides, right? They wash upon the beach and they pull back. That's how I want you guys to be in your spirit, in your soul, and how you interact with others. Do not let an emotion take you out, right? Because feeling emotions is healthy, but letting emotions regulate your life and dictate what you can and can't do is unhealthy. So because disorganized attachment deals a ton with abandonment, what is the adverse reaction that we can apply to the situation? Learning to be alone with yourself. There's a lot of people that can't handle it. I'm not saying, you're 19 years old and you're living with your parents. You're like, that's it, Mom. The refined lad already told me to move out of your house and be on my own. I have to explore myself. That's not what I'm discussing. What I'm saying is that you have to learn to love your company, right? You have to learn to be by yourself. I don't care if you build a blanket fort. I don't care if you read comic books. I don't care if you play guitar. But every time that somebody can't meet those expectations of yours, whether it's a friend or family, you handle that disappointment like you should. And you say, okay, what can I do with myself, right? If you have to be moving, what can I do with myself? Man, I take myself on trips, dude. I love driving. Driving is a form of therapy to me. And one day, I'm going to have a big old Formula One car that I will race. Guaranteed. Absolutely love the idea of 250 mile per hour cars driving in very narrow laps. I am an adrenaline junkie. And so why should I let my alone time be disrupted when that's my inner healing, when that's my self-love? So by doing this, we can be present with ourselves, right? We learn to be with ourselves. And so I want you, when you complete the smallest, most simple task, to look back at it and be like, yeah, I did that. You're darn right you did that. You did that. Nobody else did it for you. You did that. And then I want you to level up one by one by one and encourage yourself. Take recognition of your efforts so your psyche hears it and that your body responds to it. Affirm yourself. Self-love is everything. Number 4 is that you communicate your wants and desires with a partner, as well as others. So not just romantically, but even with friends. The time for keeping your mouth shut for fear of looking dumb, or saying the wrong thing, or allowing yourself to be walked on is completely over right now. You need to learn to lay down your boundaries and have people respect them. And if somebody steps over your boundaries, you can say it kindly. You don't have to be a jerk. Okay? But you can say, hey, this is how you're making me feel. This is what I'm thinking. And I don't appreciate that. I feel you overstepped your boundaries. I don't have an issue doing that with people now. If you would have met me in high school, I would have said, yeah, that's fine. I was a yes man. Now I'm a little spunky. I'm a little intense. I can get a little hot-blooded sometimes, right? But sometimes that's a good thing because we learn to take back our control. And I myself am learning to emotionally regulate. This isn't a one-man show, right? So number 5 is that you find a technique for your self-soothing. And that can be painting, drawing, like I said, reading a book, listening to music, dancing. Man, I love dancing. My issue is that I go in the kitchen, right? I go to wash dishes. I'm in there for a very long time, even if there's not a lot of dishes. Because if there's music on, I'm probably dancing, washing the dishes. How I've always been building a garden. Okay, something that I wanted to do last spring, but the soil up here in Michigan is it's a little rough. But even that, it's a community project with yourself, right? You're learning a hobby, you're doing something. Now again, understand that this process isn't a Viagra pill. This isn't going to happen instantly. So for the 80-year-old men watching this, it's a long and strenuous process that you're going to have to deal with your hurts and your wounds in life. But we're also going to shift the narrative that you weren't in control and instead allow abundance and clarity into your life. Once you write that personal narrative, you shape what happens. You shape, again, the things within my arm's reach, right? I'm responsible for everything within my arm's reach. Right now it's just atoms. I'm responsible for all the atoms that I can't see, the particles, the nucleus, mitochondria, powerhouse of the cell, all right? And so we have to realize that by doing that, we allow ourselves to be okay with what happens. We allow ourselves to feel those emotions. Now, this doesn't just apply to the disorganized attachment style. This applies to anybody really in their life as well. If they want to succeed, they have to do these things. And I don't think that's like some hidden opinion. I think that's pretty practical advice. But hopefully that gives you a good idea of what we can accomplish with those who have disorganized attachment style. And there's just so much out there. There's so much out there for us all to learn. Something that I always taught myself is that you can never learn enough, right? One of the best steps to being humble all the time is knowing that you don't know anything. And there was a philosopher that said that as well, from my geeks out there. So before I go, I wanted to tell you guys that I'll be attending a leadership conference in Florida this summer as a mentor, and I will have the opportunity to share words of encouragement, to speak hope and passion into young teens' lives. And it's all stuff that I wish I heard at a younger age. I'm super stoked to be able to attend this leadership, and it has emphasis on business skills, relationship advice, social skills, youth outreach programs, and much more. So the current amount owed to attend is $900, and that does not cover me traveling from Michigan to Florida, whether it's by land, sea, or plane. But it will help pay for my attendance, lodging, food, and just being there, right? It allows me to have the opportunity to sit down with these kids one-on-one and to sow something into their lives. And I think each and every single one of us deserves that. I think any one of us that's listening right now would have killed to be in the seat that some of these kids are. You know, maybe not literally, like don't go out and murder people, okay? It's probably not a good idea. My hands are clean. But I have provided the fundraising links below. I have 2 fundraising links below. One on the one on the top is actually going to be my actual link. It goes directly to what's owed for me to the camp. And then the second one below is what it's about, right? What the fundraiser is about, how to apply. There's 2 options. One is to just donate outright. And the other option is to enter a raffle through your donations where you can win some really sick prizes. So I highly recommend that. At the end of the day, I hope I provided you some value, and I always appreciate your support. Y'all mean the world to me. Let's change our patterns and start walking out the life that we know we deserve. Stay frosty.